War. War never changes.
What's up, wastelanders? Boys and girls, prepare to be astounded, bedazzled, and otherwise stupefied.
You talk a lot. Sound funny when you talk like a stupid human. I am online once again. Tremble, world, before my electric heating coil of doom.
What's up, Wastelanders? Hello and welcome to Tapes from the Wastes, Fallout fan podcast bringing you gameplay discussions, news, lore, other gameplay talk and all things Fallout. I am one of your hosts, KDB, and as always, here on the show, in a little while you will hear from my co-host, my fabulous, wonderful, supportive co-host, Eric, aka Suliore. I'm feeling sentimental today, as you might have been able to tell from that intro. And that's because it's been 3 years of Tapes from the Wastes, and we actually have missed our anniversary. So we're here with a new episode today. I'm going to talk more about the 3 years and the anniversary that just recently passed, but there's a bit of Fallout stuff to cover today. We've got new updates on the way to Fallout 76. We've got TV show news, and just some general gameplay talk and what's been happening and what I've been up to and what Eric's been up to. Yeah, so we thought we'd better get to it. It's been a little while. I should say that the main focus, maybe it's the main focus, the crux of Eric's section today, he's going to be covering the recent dev Q&A about the big update to Fallout 76. There we go. So you know what's in store for this episode. This is it's been a little while now. As we mentioned on the most recent episode, which I think came out at the end of August or the very start of September. So I'm recording this and it's the 5th of November. It's Sunday the 5th of November. Oh, weather report. We need a weather report here in the UK. Let me just open my curtain. So this week in the UK, we have had Storm Kieran that has battered the country. We've had flooding, we've had trees down, we've had high winds, rain, like serious storm weather for a good few days, nearly a week. It's been on and off, on and off. After a very unsettled October, quite a warm October, I should say. November has arrived and we're hit with a storm straight out of the gate. And the area where I live, we're up quite high, so we don't really get flooding. But to get anywhere, outside of where we live, you have to drive through deep valleys and steep hills and stuff, so you're bound to drive through some flooding. And we went out this morning, my family and I, and we did have to drive through a flooded area. Luckily it wasn't too bad. Most of it had cleared, because today it's bright sunshine. It's chilly, but it's not unbearably cold. I was actually outside with a t-shirt on, and I was managing to handle that without suffering too much. It's a lovely crisp November day. The storm does seem to have passed. And listeners of the show will know that I like to talk about the weather, because the weather is news, especially if you live in the UK. There's different weather 5 times a day. You never know what you're going to get when you leave the house. So let's close the curtain, shut myself away, back into the dark room to talk about games and Fallout. Where was I? So, it's been a little while since the last episode. Because, of course, as we mentioned on the previous episode, a little known new IP, the small little indie game, dropped at the start of September. That game was Starfield, and we are a couple of months out of release. And Starfield has taken up a lot of my time and a lot of Eric's time, and we did kind of say that although Tapes isn't going anywhere, it's probably going to be taking a very, very small break because Starfield. And look, let's be honest, not just Starfield, but so many video games have come out in the last couple of months that it's kind of crazy. We obviously have the Starfield Sandwich, our Starfield podcast, which we've put out a couple of episodes on since the previous Tapes episode. So the content's been coming from us, from Eric and I. It's just been in different forms. So if you're out there, if you're listening to this and you're playing Starfield, go and check out the Starfield Sandwich podcast. Come listen to our thoughts. We did our month with Starfield and we haven't followed that up yet. We are going to. There's some things we want to talk about very, very soon. Hopefully next weekend there should be a new episode of that out. So yeah, it's been a while since there's been a new tapes, but Fallout is still a thing. We're still a thing. Fallout's still happening. Have I been playing Fallout? Not really. To be honest with you, for the reasons I just mentioned, so many games and Starfield. Eric has been playing a lot of Fallout, keep holding down the Fallout fort for this podcast, and yes, absolute legend that he is. So he's going to be talking some Fallout gameplay. And as I said, there's Fallout news to cover. I'm going to cover a bit of my gameplay, and then I'm going to touch on the news before I hand it over to Eric. So yeah, gameplay wise, I mean, actually no, before I get to gameplay, I just wanted to quickly shout out, like, so although yes, games have been taking up a lot of time between podcasts, you know, life seems to be busier than ever. Work is busier than ever. I've kind of taken on more responsibilities, which means I'm busier than ever, which means I'm more tired in the evenings, and content creation is very, very difficult thing to juggle. And of course, I still do the other shows. I mentioned Starfield Sandwich, but I do Gears Intel, the Gears of War podcast, and I'm a part of First Aid Spray. As regular listeners will know, we've been putting out episodes of those shows as well, and contents. There's so much stuff to listen to. Yeah, which means there has been a little bit of a break from us. But games are still being played. And what have I been playing? Okay, so no Fallout. That's kind of a lie. I have played, like, a couple of hours of Fallout 76 since Starfield launched. But that's it. I'm going to be playing a lot more of Fallout 76 because that update is coming. That update is coming on the 5th of December. But as for what else I've been playing gameplay-wise, what's been keeping me busy, I've mentioned it about 20 times already. Starfield. I'm not going to get into all my deep thoughts. You can go and listen to Starfield Sandwich for that. The long and short of it is I have 2 achievements to go. And I have got all the achievements. I've done everything. I've finished the main quest. I've done all the side quests. Sorry, I should say I've done all the faction quests. I haven't done all the side quests because there's loads. And I'm sure there's some that I still haven't discovered. But in terms of the core of the game and all the achievements, I just have to get to level 100 and I have to visit every star system. I think I've only got a few star systems to visit, and I think I'm at level like 60 something. And I know there are ways to kind of cheat the level system, if you like, with some camp features, some base features where some I saw about spawning some animals and then killing them and getting the XP and then they spawn again. I haven't done any of that. I've just been grinding up my levels the old-fashioned way, which maybe means I'm an idiot, and it means I'm going to take a while to get to level 100. But I am going to do it, and my plan is to get there before the DLC for Starfield comes out, which we don't have a release date for yet. So yeah, lots of Starfield. In October, we also, because basically September, all I played was Starfield, pretty much. Through October, we had not only a new Sonic the Hedgehog game in Sonic Superstars, we had a new Super Mario game in Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Eric, I don't know if you've picked up Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We haven't talked about this yet, but you've got a Nintendo podcast. We need to talk about it. Sonic, absolutely loved. It's not perfect. It's a sort of more crisp, modern follow-up to Sonic Mania 2, if you like. It's the throwback style. I really loved it. It's ticking the boxes for me for Sonic. I also wrote a review on Sonic Superstars. You can go to my Twitter to read that. It was my pinned tweet, but yeah, you can find a link to my review pages in my Twitter bio if you want to have a read of my review for Sonic Superstars. And then, yeah, Super Mario Wonder came out like a week later or a few days later. And that is just a delightful game. I don't think so. I've only been playing that game with my son, and that's kind of the main reason I bought it, because he absolutely loves Mario, and I love Mario, you know, and I love, again, the classic throwback 2D side-scrolling style. This game came out to stellar reviews, I think kind of rightly so. It's really, really good, really fun. Again, I'm not going to give you a full review now, but it was taking up a lot of my time. I haven't finished it yet. My son and I play it together. Really great multiplayer couch co-op style thing. And what else? Because it was October, I was playing horror games. I played a couple of horror games, but one of my favourites I played during October was Dead Space, the remake of Dead Space. It came to Game Pass, and I'm someone who kind of toyed with the original Dead Space. I played it, I maybe started it twice, got like 2 or 3 hours in, and just never progressed. And not because I didn't enjoy it, I think it just never landed at a time where I needed something to play. So yeah, the remake, oh my goodness. And so I am, along with my First Aid Spray colleague Steve, we are nominating a game for the video game, the Horror Video Game Awards, which is an independent awards show set up by a couple of our content creator friends, Will and Phil. I'm usually sharing links on Twitter and stuff for that. But the winners for that, I think, are announced next month, and we've got to get our nomination video in this month. And I tell you what, I had my nomination, but Dead Space came in, and it's made me maybe rethink who I might want to nominate for Horror Game of the Year. I've got to figure that out with Steve, because we're kind of doing a co-nomination for First Aid Spray. But Dead Space, so much fun, which is a weird way to describe it, because there's a lot of hacking off limbs with your tools and stuff. Yeah, it's survival horror, but it's very actiony. There's a lot of shooting. And then, last but not least, something that was taking up a lot of my time in October, and certainly these last couple of days in November, the universe of Alan Wake. Now, Alan Wake 2 is out. It's a game I was massively hyped for. When it comes to the original, it was a game I never really got into, dabbled with it, kind of moved on with other things. I played the remaster of Alan Wake in September, just before Starfield came out. Loved it. Felt like an idiot for kind of missing what it was trying to do the first time I tried it back in the 360 days. Absolutely fell in love. Since then, I have played the DLC for Alan Wake. I've played Alan Wake's American Nightmare, which is the Xbox Live Arcade game. I've also played most of Control, and in particular the expansion for Control, which features Alan Wake. So I've just been absorbing everything to do with this universe, and my fucking god, it is so good. Like, I'm gonna have to talk about it at length at some point on another show, because there is so much to say about this universe and these games that Remedy have made. And I know I'm late to the party, I know I am, trust me, but yeah, like, hard to put into words. And then Alan Wake 2, I held off starting it because it's actually had some issues on Xbox, some audio issues, which see the audio cutting out, cutscenes desyncing, and the audio going out of sync. Kind of unacceptable, really. I gave them a week to fix it. They didn't. And so I just brute forced my way through it. The main issues seem to be at the very start of the game, and then anytime you boot up the game, the issues come back and you have to restart. It's a real pain in the ass. And so that caveat, those issues aside, I am really enjoying Alan Wake 2, and that's all I'm going to say about it for now. But yes, so gameplay-wise, that's what I've been up to. As for this podcast, as I mentioned in the very beginning there, it's been 3 years of tapes. Bombs Drop Day passed the 23rd of October, and we launched this podcast on the 23rd of October 2020, which I just cannot believe. And I feel kind of sad, and I feel like I've maybe let some of our listeners down by not doing a proper celebration for our 3rd year. So sorry if you were expecting something. We didn't get round to it. Life and other games and other content is in the way. There's no excuse, really. It's a lot of juggling. You know, something's going to have to give at some point in my life. But yeah, 3 years of tapes have passed. We started it, I remember, in the pandemic when I was really, really into Fallout 76, and, you know, I found Eric's shows and absolutely loved them. You can go back and listen to the first episode of this show to hear more about the inception of Tapes from the Wastes. But yeah, and we've just been kind of ticking along, putting out the content, talking about Fallout, and I still feel like we've only scratched the surface. 3 years into the show. Time is flying by. There's so much I want to do with this show, and I can't believe we have passed 3 years. We've hit listener and download milestones that have just kind of blown us away. We're so happy that people love our little, niche corner of the Fallout fandom. There's some huge shows out there that we love as well. We're just doing our thing here, tucked away in the corner, and we're happy that anyone would listen to any of us talk about Fallout. And there's always going to be more Fallout to talk about. It's not going anywhere. Even just going from the news that I'm going to get to in a minute. So yeah, bombs drop day passed. There was some in-game, some online celebrations and stuff. And excuse me, some in-game stuff. Let's get the coffee down me. Hold on. Oh dear. I have actually been sick for the past few days as well. Possibly COVID. I'm not too sure. My wife and I have come down with something pretty bad. But yeah, 3 years. Thank you as always for listening. And I just wanted to, because I know he'll be listening back to this episode. I just wanted to send another huge thanks to Eric for kind of doing the show with me. And being on top of things. So his segment for this show, he just kind of sent me out of the blue, which spurred me on to get the new episode out. And it's stuff like that I really appreciate, that it shows that he cares and he's putting in the effort. He's putting in more effort than I am sometimes, and I need to give him credit for that. And he's really holding down the fort and connecting with the wider Fallout community. You'll hear him talk about it more in his section. A lot of the Fallout creators that we know, both of us know, are from the States. They're in a different time zone to me, and I don't get to play games with them or anything like that. So, yeah, Eric kind of handles all that side of stuff, and I think he keeps us nicely threaded into the wider Fallout community. And I can't thank him enough for that. And his love for the lore and the way he just kind of riffs on the lore and talks about it. He is awesome, and I'm so glad he's been here since day one of the show with me. And yeah, we're gonna carry on. We're gonna keep doing what we do and putting more shows out, more stuff to come, and look forward to another 3 years of Tapes from the Wastes. In that time, I guess my love for Fallout has only grown. I mean, this happens with a lot of franchises that I'm a big fan of. Fallout is right up there. Doing this show helps me love Fallout more. It's in a period of time, where we've been doing this show, the only game that has launched or that was out is Fallout 76. We haven't had a Fallout 5 or a new spin-off or anything like that. So, yeah, to just kind of... so for that game, which is something that I kind of go off and on with, I go back to, I'm not playing it every day, not playing it all the time like I know some other Fallout content creators are. It does things for me when I need it to do things for me, and then there's times when there's so many other games out that I can just go and play, and I can leave it over there, and then I come back to it, which I know, for a live service game, that's maybe any developers listening to this, that's not what they want to hear. They want me playing it all the time. That's not how it works with Fallout 76 for me, but my love for the franchise only grows through doing this show and coming back into playing 76 and touching back on Fallout 4 and 3 and just everything. Like, it feels like, although we haven't had, news on the next game, and I'm not expecting news on the next game anytime soon. It's a big project, it's a big deal. I'm not expecting it for a long time. But we know there's things ticking along in the background with the Fallout 4 next gen update. New updates for Fallout 76. Who knows, maybe some secret unannounced stuff as well is on the way. I know that Fallout's not going anywhere, and neither is this show. So 3 years, my love has grown for the franchise, and I am looking forward to seeing what's coming up, which nicely segues to the news. A couple of topics to quickly touch on. First and foremost, so we finally have the release date for the Fallout TV show. So on Bombs Drop Day, on October the 23rd, so that's a couple of weeks ago now, or just over a week ago. A couple of weeks. God, I'm kind of brain fogged today. The Amazon, the Fallout TV show account, the Fallout account, Amazon, on all this, they did the announcement, because we know that there's been a very early work in progress trailer shown at an event privately, which has leaked. We don't really talk about the leaks though. Nothing high quality yet, and we've had set photos and all that. This is we've had the image, we had the Hollywood image, which we also talked about on the show, which just said 2024. But now we've had a teaser. And if you've not, I'm sure you've seen it. If you're listening to the show, I'm sure you've seen it. So the best way to describe it is it's a teaser done in the style of something you would see on the Pip-Boy screen. And I'm just going to load it here and describe to you. So it starts with all the text flying up the screen and all the code, and then this is the classic black background, the green text. We have a list of text which doesn't say anything major apart from, so we've got things like copyright 2075 Robco and all this, and then we have holotape found 101 _ the end. Now I believe there's been confirmation that the show is going to revolve around Vault 101. Am I making that up? I'm sure that's true. And then we have the end, which I'm gonna presume is an episode title. Maybe 101 could mean season 1 episode 1 as well, and the end could be the title, because the next thing we have is an animation of Vault Boy at a computer typing away, and we have numbers appear on the screen: 04 12 24. Now if you're in the UK like me, this does not mean the 4th of December 2024, because, that would just be the crazy way to interpret this, right? No, this is the other way of writing dates, and this actually means the 12th of April 2024. So there we have it. The show is coming out, I think, around about the time most of us expected. I think my prediction in the past was winter 2023 to 2024. So like January, like early 2024. I predicted winter. So winter being starting soon, but then leading into like January and February. So it's slightly later, but not too much later. So essentially spring 2024, which for me is like, okay, fine. Whenever it comes out, it comes out. And I want them to take as much time as they need to get the show right as well. Spring is about the cutoff, I think. You don't want to start getting towards summer where people are out doing things. Nobody really watches TV shows during the summer. I think this is like a generally understood metric. We have summer blockbuster movies and people mostly go to them. But TV shows do really, really well during the darker months, which is why the TV season has classically been September to April, I believe. If you think of the old days so I am talking in like really old-fashioned terms here. Network television and stuff, where they would have a season of like 24 episodes, is always classically September to April. Or September to May, which is kind of still a thing, but it's also not, because of things like Amazon and Netflix when they just release stuff all the time. But I think it does still matter when you release a show. Like, it's weird sometimes to me when horror stuff, like horror movies and horror shows, get released during the summer and spring. I don't really get that. That feels like a missed opportunity to kind of align the stars for when people are looking for a certain type of genre. For Fallout to release again in spring, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just overthinking it. I would have liked to have arrived more in the winter months, but April is fine. I might be making a mountain out of a molehill here, but there we have it. So no official online trailer yet. So that trailer that got shown at the event still hasn't gone public, and from what I understand, they said that version will never go public. But I'm excited for an actual trailer. I would imagine, with an April release date, we can expect a trailer at Christmas. So yeah, very, very pumped for this. As I've continuously mentioned, we're going to be diving into every episode, talking at length on the show here. Can't wait. Really, really cannot wait. It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big thing for Fallout, and hopefully there is some game tie-ins with it as well. Speaking of games, Fallout 76... as I mentioned earlier, Eric is going to be covering the dev Q&A, which talked about Atlantic City. So Atlantic City, as you will all know, I'm sure, is the next update coming to Fallout 76. This is actually the 17th major update for the game, which to me is crazy. I've said it before on the show, live service games come and go. They die very quickly. Fallout 76 still going, still trucking along. 17 updates, content updates. This is really, really good. And this is always, it's always nice to see such care and attention go into these updates. I feel like it's got its core player base. It's very loyal fans. Whatever you think of the monetization of live service and all that, I think, yeah, to me, it's just awesome to know that new content is coming. But yeah, so it is coming, and it's coming in a couple of waves, I think. So it's coming. So the Atlantic, I can't even get my words out. Atlantic City update breaks down into Boardwalk Paradise and America's Playground. So Boardwalk Paradise is the thing coming on December the 5th, which I think... So have they confirmed exactly? So what it's going to have, it's going to be an expedition, which will take us to the new location, which is Atlantic City. A couple of excuse me. Yes, so a couple of expedition missions. I need to slow down. I can't even speak. Bleh. I need to slow down. I can't even speak. Here we go. Let's get some more of this coffee inside me. Right. Expeditions. Atlantic City. Boardwalk Paradise. It's coming. It's going to be 2 expedition missions in Atlantic City. One is called Tax Evasion and one is called The Most Sensational Game. This new update is also going to bring daily quests. One called Gilman Lumber Mill, which is a revamped version of... which is revamped as a Responders Outpost. Oh, okay. Okay. Fine. Yeah, that's cool. New outpost locations in the forest for Crater Raiders, Settlers, Brotherhood of Steel, Blue Ridge Caravan Company, and Cult of the Mothman. New UI for finding and activating quests, changes and corrections to fire and energy damage following Once in a Blue Moon as well. And then, so that's the Boardwalk Paradise section of the update. And then America's Playground is going to bring 3 new main quests and 2 side quests in Atlantic City, which I cannot wait for. And then it's also going to bring... another expedition. This is some big updates here. You know, we've been calling for the quests and the storyline stuff. Yeah, bring it on. I mean, the expedition stuff isn't really for me. I'm gonna play it. I will absolutely play it and try it out. Check, testing. Sorry, I just had to stop and start my recording there. My recording software told me it lost the microphone, but I'm back. Yeah, so I am going to play the expedition. Of course, I'm very excited. I will always play through and see what it's got to offer. And it looks... This location just looks more interesting than the pit, I think. Yeah, all the casino stuff. Yeah. And I've heard that they are working casinos, right? Did we talk about that previously? Or there's stuff that you can interact with, so that's very exciting. And yeah, so get ready, December the 5th. So that's a month from now, a month from recording. I've got plenty of stuff to keep me busy until then, but I'm looking forward to Christmas with Fallout 76, I suppose. I don't think there's any other big games coming up. So Alan Wake 2 has arrived. I might be forgetting something, but yeah, I think really it's going to be a case of, yeah, me going back to Starfield, going back to Fallout, jump back into Diablo as well, Diablo 4. Been playing some of the new season there. But I can't wait. Bring on the new update, December the 5th. I know Eric will be playing it too, and we'll give our thoughts here on the show. Right, I have been going on for a little while, so I'm going to hand it over to my illustrious and reliable co-host. Eric is going to break down the dev Q&A about Atlantic City so you can learn a bit more about what's coming, and yeah, and talk about what he's been up to as well. And I will be back at the end for a quick outro. Until then, take it away, Eric.
Hey everybody, Eric aka Suliore here, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update as to what I've been up to in the Wasteland, as well as go through the Bethesda dev Q&A about Atlantic City. So yeah, I actually have been very active in the Wasteland lately. You've probably seen some of my pictures on social media. and things like that. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an update as to all of that. So I have been a lot more social, even more social than normal, in the wasteland lately. So I I built a spooky camp. I mentioned on social media and on the Fallout feed that I did have a little bit of help with that. I'm not going to name any names here, but again, you know who you are, and thank you very much. I had a lot of fun with that. And yeah, I'm going to keep that camp even when it's not Halloween. I'm not going to scrap it. I'm just going to keep it in my back pocket for when the opportunity arises. It's still going to be up for another week or so, at least. But yeah, that was great. Been running around with a lot of friends lately, both on Xbox and PC. Been playing quite a bit more on PC lately, so you have probably seen me on Kaiju Kittens Wednesday night 76 streams. I've kind of been running around with her, and we've been bouncing ideas off of each other, and I've loved seeing the evolution of her spooky camp over the last month or two. And run into the Fallout 5.0. That was fun. I feel bad. I spawned in on Captain Mal's camp. Great Fallout 76 content creator, both with podcast and with YouTube. I spawned in on his camp a couple of times, and one time in particular, just happened to be when Jessica Starr was filming his camp for the big birthday celebration on November 7th. Thanks for including me, and sorry I crashed the party. But that was a lot of fun. I've run into Shane Baconstrip a couple of times. That was a lot of fun. The last time he was running around with Soda Pop and Dweller and his dog and a few other people. I missed some of them because they left before I got there. But yeah, that was great. Like I said, I've been playing on PC quite a bit more. I've run with Ms. Max a couple of times. I've ran into Scullyface a couple of times. Check out her spooky podcast if you haven't yet. It's called Spooky Scully. And that was great, actually, meeting her in game. Run into Wreck-It Renee a couple of times. Who else did I run into? Comrade Vanya. Ran into him when I was running around with Ms. Max. Last night, as I'm recording this is November 2nd. He came by when I was running around with Ms. Max and Joliet and Scullyface and all that. Kenneth Vigu, the host of the Chad Fallout 76 podcast audio drama that I'm sure you've heard of, had a birthday celebration. He was born right before Halloween. And he said, anybody who wants to join, feel free to do so. So I hopped in his world, got to play with him for the first time and several other legends in the community. Then after a minute, he was like, hey, join voice chat. Hop in voice chat with me. I was like, really? All right, cool. So, Scully, Renee, several other people, JJ Mills, who's doing a lot of voice acting for audio dramas in the community these days. Matt Bartlett, the final counselor. We all just ran around taking out Scorch, the Spooky Scorch, and camp touring. I got to see the Atomic Stop in person, you guys. So for those of you who don't know, Scullyface was one of the hosts of the Atomic Stop. It was a Twitch show where they went through every week, like what's in the Atomic Shop, and Scullyface was one of the hosts along with Fenwatarian and a few others. And it ran for a couple of years, and it was a lot of fun. And Scully kept one of the Atomic Stop sets, and I got to see it in person. That was amazing. I couldn't help but take a picture of myself sitting in the Atomic Stop set. So I also have been hanging out with members of the Modus Files crew, Chris, One Wall Comedy Chris, and Chrissy Williams, who does Trader Red. Of course, Chris does fucking everybody in the show. He jokes about it. He plays like 15 different characters in the show. But yeah, I hop in with them sometimes. I'll just kind of be playing, and then Chris will randomly send me a party chat, which it's kind of funny. The first few times that he did it was by accident. He was trying to send the party chat invite to somebody else, and I just kind of happened to get accidentally invited. But since then, it's become intentional. So yeah, I always have fun running around with the two of them. They're usually together because they're besties, and I'm just kind of along for the ride. But yeah, I always love hanging out with the two of them. And speaking of people in Fallout audio dramas, I have also recently hung out with Vitriol Plays and Brad Williams from Once Upon a Wasteland. Of course, they're also part of the Modus Files crew, with Brad playing Modus and a couple other characters, and Vitriol plays several people as well. But yeah, they're the team behind Once Upon a Wasteland. So if you haven't checked out that Fallout audio drama, definitely check that one out as well. But yeah, it was great hanging out with the two of them as well. I've chatted with them, and I'm in the in Vitriol's Discord, so I chat with them in there. And yeah, we were just kind of chatting one night, and I said, hey, let's hang out sometime in the game, and they were like, yeah, absolutely. So I went and sent Vitriol a friend request in the game, and she just happened to be on. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's hop with them. And I did camp tours, and Brad's like, come check out my camp. And yeah, I guess he's known for building underground camps, and that was trippy. Because any other time that I've happened to go underground with a camp, it was a trap camp, but that wasn't the case here. So it was really weird walking around an underground camp. So that was a lot of fun. And like I said, if you haven't checked out Once Upon a Wasteland, definitely check them out. And also the Modus Files, not just because I play a few characters in the Modus Files myself, but yeah, Lawrence and Brad and Vitriol do amazing work. So but yeah, if you are ever wanting to hang out with me, I am now also playing on PC. I mainly play Xbox, but I'm playing on PC quite a bit more. You happen to see me on, feel free to swing by. I'm Suliore on Xbox and PC. So yeah, don't be afraid to come say hi. Jessica Starr wisely said when she was on the show here that we're all wastelanders. So I don't care if who you are. Don't be afraid to say hi to me while I'm in the wasteland. I have absolutely loved just getting to know so many members of the community lately. So yeah, feel free to say hi. But yeah, I'm trying to think. That's really about it. As far as what I've been doing in 76, just a lot of hanging out with friends, and it's been amazing. So thank you guys, each and every one of you, for running around with me. If I forgot to name somebody, I'm sorry, but you know who you are, and thank you. So let's get to this dev Q&A. So this first question comes from Rain King 187, and they're asking if there's any chance that we would be able to play blackjack or poker against other players in Atlantic City. And Fahad Khan from Bethesda answers saying, we are continuously looking to expand our roster of multiplayer games, and I have some exciting new games available in the upcoming release. However, we have no current plans to allow active gambling against other players. So they're going to add more gambling games and updates. That is very exciting. I can't wait to see what that is. All right, this next question comes from Pie Savvy, and they ask, how does the team choose what weapons get paints as rewards, and how does the team design them? 76 has its fair share of both subtle and wild weapon paints, and I'm assuming Atlantic City is no different. So I'm curious, how does the team go about picking which weapons get the treatment, and how does the process of creating them go? Bonus question, I would love to see, or bonus comment, I should say, I would love to see the concept art if all possible. And Aaron, E_RIN, responds saying, for items in general, Direction seeks out input from other employees and players for ideas of what players would love. Internally, we all get to voice our opinions on which concept art designs are our faves. Once the design is picked, art gets started arting. All right. This next question comes from Coffee888. And they say, thank you, Bethesda, for setting up this opportunity to ask. I have 1,000 questions, but this time I will focus on Atlantic City. We all have 1,000 questions. There is a new armor set in the current PTS called Municipal Armor. If it's not craftable yet, it is not craftable yet, but it is grayed out when you press V in the armor workbench. It performs very well and also has a very interesting set bonus. I can't wait to test it out. The Muni armor appears to be craftable as a 50 to 60 level item, unless it is a misconfiguration. This is a huge step forward since the launch of the game. As for the past 5 years, the item level cap for gear in Fallout 76 has been 45 to 50. I would love to see this. Now they get to the questions after all that. It's in the PTS, it appears that, kind of the same thing. Are there any plans to raise the level cap for weapons armor other than the Muni armor from the current level of 45 to 50 to higher levels in the future? If so, do you consider implementing a system to increase the level of already crafted items? And then they list some details here, a lot of numbers and confusion. Mr. Napoleon 1 answers, I'm really hoping that the crafted pieces for the Muni army are... Okay, that's just a comment. I apologize. Fahad Khan says, we are excited about the new armor set, and this set in particular will be actively adjusted before it goes live to the wider community. However, we are actively looking at ways to improve weapons past their current level cap. That would be amazing, because for the longest time, the legendary star level has been set at 3, and yet there are spots for 5. So when we are going to get those other 2 stars, who knows? But it's got to be before too long, right? You would think. All right, next question comes from Zykhun, Zaikhun. And they ask, would it be possible for some people from Bethesda staff to share their thoughts on the most common feedback suggestions? We would like to know the devs' opinions regarding our suggestions. Are they too demanding or not? If so, in what way? If the devs would propose something different but taking into account some particular suggestion, what would differ from our suggestion? And Steph says, we love hearing feedback. It shows that people are engaging with the game, and it's always exciting to see people interact with the content we make. It also shows us what issues are important to the community and helps us hone in our focus. Good to know. They definitely don't answer everything, but I do feel like they are pretty active in response, especially when there's an issue. Believe that or not, I do, because I even know some people who have said, hey, I have this on one platform, but I don't have it on the other, and it's part of who I am. Can you please get this to me? And hey, I just happened to miss this in the Atom Shop. I wasn't actively playing at the time. Is there any way I can have access to that? And more often than not, they're pretty accommodating. So, all right, next question is from Fallout Particle, and they say Orlando references the management, the quote-unquote management, but who are they? And Steph answers this one as well, saying Orlando refers to management as Mr. Otis. That name sounds oddly familiar. Okay. All right, next question comes from Karu, K-A-R-U. Hope I pronounced that right. And they say, hello. There are questions about future content. Will we ever have access to the big open world in the future where we can explore any direction we want? So that is not associated with expeditions. And Steph says, Atlantic City is open to tourists. Players will be able to explore our new Atlantic City locations without actively being on an expeditions mission in the near future. That is fantastic. Because I mean, I loved being able to visit the pit, but it was such a chore getting your vertibird battery charged up. I know there are some people who loved making stew. I did enjoy making stew, but that was only one of 3-4 tasks that you had to do to get a fully charged battery, and then that was the only way that you could go as the team leader. I mean, you can always hop in on other expeditions, but to be the team leader means you're not at risk of getting kicked from said team, which was definitely a problem with gatekeeping. So being able to run around Atlantic City without being, having the expedition team requirement is fantastic. Thank you guys so much for that. And I will definitely be playing this once it comes out. So, all right, next question is from Smit J.E. Smit Hay. I don't know how to pronounce that. Smitji. And the question is, are there any pistol users? And Steph says, I'm more of a rifle build. BGS Bairdy, B-A-I-R-D-Y, says, I split my time between the railway rifle VATS build and the cold shoulder shotgun build. I always keep a Deathclaw gauntlet handy for the close-up fun. And Aaron says, I'm more of a rifle person, but I like being far away and sneaky. I kind of go both ways. I definitely love my rifles, but I do have some melee weapons on hand for when I want to get up close and personal as well, like the chainsaw. That's a lot of fun. Auto axe. I was using the auto axe for a long time before I actually got my hands on a chainsaw. I also have a Deathclaw gauntlet that I use quite a bit. It's the Unstoppable Monster, I think is what it's called. Because using that weapon makes me feel kind of like a ninja. It's a lot of fun. All right, next question comes from Lux Made Man, and they say, hello, Bethesda. I was curious about the new overgrown enemies coming with the Atlantic City update. At the moment, we know very little about them except what comes up in the dev dives, that they're plants controlling the corpses of people. That sounds a little familiar. What I'm wondering is if any insight can be shared on what caused them, as the other two instances of hostile vegetation were caused by some pretty out there sources, like Vault 22's Spore Experiment, that's the one I was thinking of, and Vault 94's Gek Explosion for the Spore Carriers and Strangler Vines, respectively. And there's currently no indication where they're coming from. Thank you for continuing to develop Fallout 76 for these last 5 years. And Steph says the origin of the overgrown is unknown, but there's quite a bit of speculation within Atlantic City as to what they could be. There's more tidbits of lore to discover in the near future to expand on the mystery. Intriguing. Can't wait to see what all that's about. Alright, next we've got a question from Mimori, M-I-M-O-R-I 775. And they say, is there any opportunity for more female outfits in the game that aren't so masculine or covered up? No comment on that. I know that there used to be the Nuka Girl outfit, but that was offered a long time ago, and I would like to see more outfits that fit more of my style. Short, low-cut tops, Tomb Raider style, etc. I know people used to mod Fallout 4 to get similar effects, but I feel that 76 is lacking in the female variety. Aaron says that we love expanding player choice in the store, giving free to be who they want to be in Appalachia. We just released a nurse outfit based on the Guinevere to the store, but I hear you loud and clear, and we will try to keep pushing more female options. All right, next question is from GOGTF, Goctif, I don't know. And they say, I love the auto axe in the pit. Is there a new weapon in Atlantic City? I love the auto axe as well. And Fahad Khan says, we all love the auto, easy for me to say. We all love the auto axe as well. For Atlantic City, we're getting a new named legendary pistol called the Circuit Breaker that will have a unique AoE effect on the final shot of the weapon. And with the second part of Atlantic City coming soon, there will be even more to look forward to. I'm not much of a pistol person. I know some of my friends are, but depending on the game at least. But yeah, that's great. More pistol options, more weapon options in general. And more skins, please. More skins. Every weapon should at least have one alternate skin for it. Thank you. All right, next question comes from Rekka, and they ask, are there any plans to increase the camp budget? It's a question that's on everybody's mind, isn't it? Or allow players to even pay for more budget. I'm not paying for more budget, but I hear you. In all of their builds. And Aaron says, hello, as of right now, there are no plans in the roadmap to change the camp budget, but the environment art team works diligently to make new items that are more efficient and also as badass as possible. One example of this contribution is the new prefab recently released and coming in the future. We aim to make a single item that has the power to transform the player's camp that can't be replicated with wall kits. Yeah, so that bell tower that just got released, I really wish I could have gotten my hands on it. I'm very happy with what I did pick up from the Halloween drops. But yeah, that prefab, the bell tower is, I mean, it's not huge, but it's very tall, and it takes little to no budget to build. So yeah, props to you guys. I mean, that's the thing. Some things that take up a lot of budget really shouldn't, and vice versa. It's kind of a head scratcher sometimes as to what takes up a lot of budget and what doesn't. All right, next question comes from Flakles, Flakles, and they say, hey, I'm sure you guys must see players in the community constantly asking if we can get more open world traditional Fallout DLC experiences from expeditions, something like Far Harbor being the constantly echoed request. I'm sure you guys must have at least experimented with it already. My question is, what sort of things would hold a choice like that in the back? Or hold a choice like that back, I apologize. Maybe definitively proving a why not will put the matter to rest among the community. I mean, I do see that sometimes, but I don't feel like it's a question that is constantly being shoved in the devs' faces, like, when is Elder Scrolls 6 coming out and when is Fallout 5 coming out? I don't see this as much, but it is a good question, so thank you, Flakles. And Josh Moretto says, hi, Flakles. While we continue to expand the places players can visit outside of our map, the focus on Fallout 76 is and remains Appalachia. That said, players will be able to visit Atlantic City for traditional story quests and exploration outside of expeditions in Patch 50. All right, I've got several more here. Let's keep it moving. So, next question comes from Space Lime, and they ask, so, are expeditions supposed to be challenging content for endgame players with decent builds, or is it just a coincidence that they are more difficult than most content in the game? If they are meant to be more challenging, then will newer expeditions that get added later down the line keep increasing in difficulty? And Steph answers, expeditions are meant to be challenging for endgame players, but also accessible for lower level players. It's a little different from daily ops in the sense that we also test expedition missions on a variety of builds, including lower levels, to ensure the mission feels solid to all potential players. That being said, it would be pretty difficult to play an expedition mission if you were under level 50, but definitely not impossible. So I think I mentioned this on the show, But when the pit came out for the first time, I didn't really understand. Like, I didn't know that there were specific multiplayer teams. There was a specific team variation specifically for expeditions. I probably should have looked into that a little bit more, but I did the tasks to charge the battery and then made my way to the pit solo. And it was hard as hell. I don't know how many times I died, but I did it. And so, yeah, like it's definitely difficult to do solo, but it's not impossible. I just wouldn't recommend it. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the point of the One Wasteland update, right? Is to make it to where each player can go anywhere on the map. It might be a little bit more challenging, but the enemies are supposed to be leveled to your player. And that's every player. So say you're in the Cranberry Bog and you're level like 3. And there's also somebody there who's level 1,000, let's say. Both of those, but the enemy is supposed to be geared toward your level. Now, enemy level caps usually stop at 50. But yeah, some are definitely more challenging than others. But again, that was the point of the One Wasteland update, is to make the game accessible for players regardless of their level. And yeah, I mean, expeditions are kind of like that as well, but they're more geared toward teams. So you definitely want to have a team with you. Don't do it solo. All right, next question comes from Cameron Webster 1, and the question was not answered. But the question was, new quest line, Enclave or Brotherhood of Steel related, or even new group of raiders. It said off raiders, but I'm guessing they meant of raiders. For whatever reason, that question wasn't answered, and neither was the next one about bringing Nuclear Winter back. That's another thing that I've constantly been hearing. And I wasn't the biggest Nuclear Winter player, but I did have a little fun with it when I did play it. So yeah, I would be open for Nuclear Winter coming back too. The next question is about Mischief Night. That is something that I unfortunately never got to experience, but I would have had a fucking blast with it. If you have played with me at all, you know that I love my explosions, Boom Crew. Love the Boom Crew. And yeah, I just love blowing shit up, and that would have been amazing. The question about Mischief Night was specifically addressing the fact that the server stability seems better than it ever was. And that was, allegedly the main reason why Mischief Night was put to bed, was because it caused the server to go crazy and crash all the time. So, yeah. It looks like the next several questions were not answered, so I'm not going to address them. Actually, there was one that was answered here. It was, are there any potential for more AMAs or dev Q&As in the future? And they said it's something we can consider if there's interest. I say there is interest in this because it seems to have a pretty big turnout as far as responses and questions, period. There's a lot more questions that were asked that are listed here than were answered. So, yeah, I'm not going to really address any more of these, but I love the fact that they took the time. Actually, there is another one here that's answered. Actually, I don't know if this was a dev that answered this or not. Let me check real quick. I don't think it is. But the question was, one really boring thing about the game is traveling. Normally, everybody just fast travels anywhere. It would be awesome if there's a ability to fly to one place or another. Kind of like if you're in the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4, you get the vertibird calling grenades. And the response is, the sad truth is the game really can't handle such things. And somebody spelled out facts with the emotes. So I don't know if F-Zero Ice is a dev. I'm guessing not, and they're just giving their 2 cents on everything. But yeah, I thought I'd take a minute to address the dev Q&A about Atlantic City. And it'll be released in a little over a month. So I'm going to hand this back over to Kelsey, and I will see everybody in the wasteland.
Thank you, as always, Suliore, aka Eric, for your section there on the podcast. And thank you to the listener for listening today. Hope you've enjoyed a little touching base with you. There's going to be more coming up, as always, because the update. I imagine our next episode will be giving our first reactions to the update, unless we get a lore episode out in late November. But until then, come and check out our other shows. Check out Starfield Sandwich. Check out Tamrielic Adventures, Eric's Elder Scrolls show. Check out Nintenfo, Eric's Nintendo show. Come and check out First Aid Spray, my Resident Evil show, and Resident Evil adjacent stuff. We did a Halloween review in October, which was one of my favourite movie episodes we've done in a long time. Go and check that out. And Gears Intel for Gears of War and other gaming talk. We recently just did an episode on the future of Gears of War and if it should go fully open world. Come and hear me, David, and Alex talk about that. If you like the content that you've heard today, please do consider giving us a review on Apple Podcasts, a rating on Spotify. And yeah, Google Podcasts is going in the bin soon, apparently, thanks to Google. As always, shutting down things that I use quite a lot, which is a shame. But yes, you can still find us in all the other places. Give us a review, give us a rating. Come and interact with us on social media. We are still on Twitter, which is at TFTWpod. And Eric and I tweet from that account and we share stuff and talk about things. So yeah, come and get involved. Let us know your thoughts on the show. Let us know your thoughts on the upcoming stuff from Fallout with the TV show and the new update for 76. And I'm going to leave it there for today. Thanks as always for listening. We'll see you again next time. Stay safe out there, Wanderers.